Hi, everyone, and welcome back to She Leads the Line, the podcast where we celebrate the women who are not just in the room, but they're running it. I'm Abby Crawford, and today I'm joined by someone who wears many hats. Cassidy Hjelmstad, CEO and General Manager at SRT Communications. Cassidy is a leader, a mentor, a mom, a community builder, and in other words, a woman who can do it all, though she's probably too humble to admit it. We're going to talk about her journey, her leadership style, and how she balances it all without absolutely losing her mind and sense of humor. Cassidy, I am so excited to have you here with us. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. I am great. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, you're very kind.
We're so happy to have you. Cassidy, I want to start off strong and let's just kick things off. Can you please tell us about your origin story and how did you go from wherever you were to now CEO? What was the process? How did you get here?
Absolutely. So the journey is probably a little more unique. I always make the joke that I never thought I would be working at the phone company. But that's not who we are anymore. And it's the most exciting industry. And I'm just so grateful. And I wake up with such gratitude to come to work every day and get to lead SRT. Um, I actually grew up in our service area in rural North Dakota, town of 100, no stop signs, just yield. Grew up on a farm, and then went away to college out of state. Moved away for quite a few years, and moved back to take the role at SRT as the director of corporate communications. Had a marketing degree and things like that. It was I guess I should say, was my experience was in marketing and community relations, and was able to lead our customer service department, marketing, advertising, community outreach, all of those for SRT. Eventually was promoted to the chief marketing officer. And then when the previous CEO, my predecessor, also a mentor of mine, was announced his retirement, it took a lot of thought and consideration of, did I think I could apply and do this job? And was fortunate enough to be selected to lead this company.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. That reminds me of that's like your David and Goliath moment. It's like you maybe don't feel necessarily qualified, but you are. You are.
Well, thank you again, Abby. I would say that that's a great analogy from the standpoint of, as women, we often feel like imposters, and the imposter
Mhm.
syndrome creeps up. And so, absolutely, all of those thoughts went into my head. One of the best things I think about this job and what I get to do on a daily basis is the fact that I went in with a vision and presented that to the board of, here's where I think we can grow, and here's how we can still stay true to our co-op roots and continue to support our communities. And it's truly what I've been able to do. And so it's just been awesome. I don't have the typical, what traditionally would have been, you had a CFO, accounting, or plant managers, came from a marketing side. And when I became CEO at that time, that was probably a little bit newer to the industry, that the marketers were also being considered for this leadership role. So
Yeah.
there's a small group of us that have had that path to get to leading a broadband company. And it's been wonderful.
That's so
Not
cool.
without its challenges, but definitely
Yeah,
been wonderful.
no, of course, with anything. So you never imagined yourself in telecom. What's something that you wish you could have told yourself, your younger self, before you even entered the industry?
Okay, that's such a great question, because I just recently wrote a blog about pivot points and how we all hit these points in our life of, would you go back and make the decision differently? Would you not? And I still don't think I would change my journey. Moving out of state was what I needed at the time. Um, on, I would say maybe the pivot point for me, or the advice I would have given myself is, had I known I would be setting myself up for this role,
Yeah.
I would have dug more into the business side of my previous roles and corporations that I served at, so
Yeah.
that I could feel like I was more prepared. Because, like I said, that imposter syndrome creeped up, and Was I able to lead this company? Could I have done it? And so really, had I told my younger self to go back and dig into the business side of it, learn as much as I could, understand our business, telecom, broadband, the revenues, USF, it's not typical accounting.
Right.
So yeah, I would have absolutely told myself to dive into that just so I would have maybe not felt so intimidated by it at the time.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you climbed the ladder there. SRT has been around a while and you've been able to kind of grow with it. And it's in an industry that is a legacy industry. Telecom's a legacy industry, and you're now in a role where you can modernize a legacy industry. How has your experience growing with SRT helped you to now modernize this industry?
Absolutely. Um, so our anniversary next year of our 75th year for the co-op is hitting in 2026, and we've had such an incredible history. This co-op has always been very innovative, and that's credit to previous employees, general managers, and really our boards. They were very forward thinking. They were the first to bring cell phone service to our territory because it didn't exist. We had DSL internet before many, many others across the country had it. That means something to me that I take very seriously. I think I use the term, and it's I I borrow it that I'm resting on the shoulders of giants.
Hmm.
From the standpoint of what they've done,
Yeah.
we now want to continue to do and then
Yeah.
modernize. One of my favorite things too is I've said this before, and we're a co-op. I realize not every broadband company is, but co-ops are cool. If you look at people who, especially younger folks who they care about, they're passionate about whatever their cause is or various passion points are, that's exactly what we do. I worked in the NBA, and we were the very first industry to coin the term NBA cares. And now you see it all over. Every
Hmm.
single corporation has their cares. We were the first. And credit to them for coming up with that and making it trendy and cool, and people bought into that. Co-ops have been doing this, and family-owned broadband companies, because we're the local providers. This is
Yeah.
what we do. We have cared about our customers ever since we were born.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to make it more modern to get people to realize, okay, yes, they have a great reputation. They continue to give back to their communities. We do donations, we support projects, all the things, right? But it's not just because we have to, it's because we also think modern. We want to
Yeah.
see our communities thrive. So that for me is just super exciting. I love that we get to continue that tradition. Then the other thing is too on the education front, right? We live in a digital world. We all know it. AI is all the rage right now. And
Mm-hmm.
there's also this gap that happens when it comes to there's fear because it's new. There's,
Yeah.
of course, all the various scams and identity theft and things like that that people have to be aware of. So, how do we play a role as the broadband company? I think we need to lead that space
Yeah.
because we're the ones who people rely on. They don't
Completely
just
agree.
rely on us and think of us as we're the internet connection. They think of us as their technology provider.
Mm-hmm.
So when our technicians or customer service groups are talking to people, they ask everything across the
Yeah.
gamut, and we have to be that education piece. So to me, it's privilege. I feel like that is part of our mission of who we are at the core. Um, and then along with all the other amazing community things that we get to do and continuing to support our communities thriving, it's part of, I think, why we get to do what we do every day.
I love it so much. You talk so much about, you said the word care so much, and I love that. So it kind of brings me to my next question to talk more about culture and how you're able to build these teams that are adaptive and innovative and being so they're caring. They care so much. What's your strategy in building these teams?
So my very first employee meeting to all employees as I was the new CEO just over 3.5 years ago, I talked about I went to University of Minnesota, and the football coach's name is PJ Fleck, and he's very inspirational, and he has this theme called "Row the Boat."
Okay.
And so I talked a lot about how we all need to be rowing in the same direction. If
Hmm.
one person is rowing against us, we're not going to accomplish our goals.
Right.
And that's been something I've tried to lead with. And sometimes it means moving people around. If they're not in the
Mhm.
right seat, in the boat, on the bus, however you wanna
Yeah.
call it, um, we have to be willing to do that. But I think one thing too, from a leadership standpoint, is we also we try really hard to build people up. We're
Mm.
not ones to just write someone off. We want to give them chances. We want to help them improve. Um, and that's not just me. That's kind of our ingrained in our culture here at SRT. And so I think that's one thing that I've tried to continue is it might be hard and there absolutely can be tough decisions that have to be made, but we're
Yeah.
doing it for the right reasons. One of my biggest things with the culture piece is the why. I really think that we miss the boat when we don't talk about the why because no matter what decision we make at the leadership table, it's going to affect all the employees down the line.
Yeah.
And whether it's the entry level position to the number two officers next to me,
Hmm.
every decision we make affects them. And so I'm really big into trying to explain the why. And sometimes we miss the boat, and that's some of the conversations that I like to have with our leadership team. Why didn't we, what did we do differently? Or what should we do differently next time? And why didn't we hit the mark on that? So I think that helps, especially when I try to explain the why, then they may still disagree, but at least they understand.
Yeah. I
And I think
love
that's
that.
one thing for building that culture.
Yeah, that's awesome. As someone that personally I aspire to be a leader someday, and so I just want to kind of pick your brain here. You're known for lifting others up, and I want to know what that sort of mentorship looks like for you, even when, like, how do you make space for that, even when your schedule looks like a game of Tetris? How are you still managing keeping that why at the forefront, even when you are so busy?
It's so easy because I know I wouldn't be here without those who helped me along the way.
Yeah.
And I think I maybe consider myself a connector or I value relationships. And I want to know who all of our employees are. And we're a pretty large company.
Yeah.
So I want to know what their kids' names are. Because to me that's important, right? That's part of just who I am, but it's part of me cherishing those relationships. And again, it's because people who mentored me and who helped me get to where I am today, I wouldn't be here without them. So if there
Right.
are people that, just like you, that want to continue to grow and maybe lead teams someday, I want to do everything I can to help them get there. And one of my old bosses used to say to me, I will never hold you back if you want to go somewhere else because it's a better opportunity for you.
Hmm.
And that has stuck with me for the past 20 years. I don't want to lose someone great, but if I
Yeah.
can help them get to that level and succeed, guess what? I just helped elevate their career. And who wouldn't be excited about that for someone? I
Yeah.
still stay in touch with people that I worked with 20 years ago, and they were an intern at the time. And it makes me so proud to see their journey.
Yeah.
Um, and then I also see that too, again, growing up here or, close to the area, I still get messages from people in my hometown that are, we're so proud of you and what you're doing and keep up the good work. That means a lot to me because, again, my purpose is to serve them
Yeah.
and have them be connected to this worldwide internet marketplace and anything they want to do digitally. So it's personal. But I think from a mentor standpoint, it's always easy to remember I wouldn't be here without them. So how do I help the next person down the line be able to accomplish their goals?
I love that
Say
so
that's
much.
any leader, right?
Yeah. I know it sounds a lot like what you're super familiar with too. It sounds like motherhood. Like you just want the very best for them and you're willing to, take your time and effort and energy and love to pour into these people, which I think that motherhood and leadership, parenthood in general, and leadership go hand in hand,
Yeah,
which I think is so cool. That you bring that side of like the nurturing side, you're bringing that into your work, which I love.
thank you.
You're
It's funny
welcome.
you say that because my kids, I have an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and I'm sorry, he's now 11, 8-year-old, 11-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And my 8-year-old struggles because I travel for this industry. I have board meetings in other cities in North Dakota, and I'm gone quite a bit. My 11-year-old gets it, and he'll be like, Mom, I know you're helping people. We are. That's what we do. We're helping our customers. And so I try to always connect the story. And again, going back to the why. Why am I gone from my family? Because what I'm doing is helping other people. And um, that started to, I can see the shift in them and how they do it. And I think, again, it goes back to that leadership. If our employees understand the why, my kids don't always agree with me, but
Yeah.
at least I can have the conversation.
Yeah.
No different than employees.
Oh, I love that. That's so awesome. I want to take a peek into what the future looks like and what your vision for infrastructure and connectivity. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you do first?
Oh, goodness. This is such an interesting question because we're so fortunate from a connectivity standpoint. We are
Mhm.
100% fiber in our serve in north central North Dakota, the area that we serve. And
So
so
awesome.
honestly, the next thing I would do is what are we missing? How
Mm,
can we get ahead of the next trend and
mhm,
make sure that our something unique about where we serve in Minot, North Dakota, and we use this saying across our community is provide for the world, we power the world, and we protect the world.
love it.
Reason being, we have major ag is number one in North Dakota, and energy, oil and gas is number one in North Dakota. They flip flop back and forth between our most valued commodities across the state.
Yeah.
We protect the world because we have a Air Force base located here that has two of the three nuclear missions, and it's the only base in the world to have that. So
Cool.
we've got this unique ability to not only support our military, support energy, support ag. What I would do is I would make sure that the next wave of what's coming for those industries, we're
Mm,
ahead of it and we can support whatever they need. And I don't know yet what that looks like, but I'm trying to figure that out. So I know it's a little generic, but honestly, like I take that seriously. I think about those
yeah.
three things of who are we providing for every day and what do we need to get
Mhm.
ahead of it. If I could make sure that we have long-term sustainable funding, which is a regulatory issue in DC, I would absolutely work to do that and tell our
Yeah.
story across, you know, the entire federal body that makes these decisions for us. That would be something that I would make sure because I want the person who starts tomorrow to be able to retire from here 40 years from now.
Yeah.
And so that that funding is absolutely critical to us. That's sustainable funding. Um, and then I think the other thing, of course, AI is all the rage. And it's coming and it's here, and people use it every day without even realizing it. So I think us leading education is the next big key for us. And I realize that's not tied to infrastructure, but honestly, it is because people don't know what data centers need, or they don't necessarily know what they are.
No.
You
They
live
don't
your
even
own
know what they
life.
are. I feel like the average person doesn't even know what they are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we have the connectivity that is needed today to supply data for the data center, right? The connectivity for the data center. But how do we educate people on what that means? The other big piece that's just kind of a passion point of mine is workforce development. And again, it
Mhm.
goes back to as long as our rural communities thrive, we will too. But if they
Yeah.
don't, we won't survive.
100%.
So how can we continue to help lead in that space to bring new opportunities to small towns across north central North Dakota so that we can A, provide the connectivity for them, but
Yeah.
B, make sure that those towns are going to be here for the next 100 years.
100%. Yeah, what you're doing is, in other words, it's economic development. I mean, it's creating jobs and opportunities and it's keeping people in your towns so they don't have to move away to have opportunity and support a family and grow. So, yeah, it's everything. I think just a big part of it is that it deserves, I always say infrastructure deserves influence because it just
That.
it just doesn't have it. And there's so many stories to be told, and there's so many the whole story of what you're doing and so many other people and so many other companies are doing, and the world just has no idea.
Yeah. I love
So
that so much. Infrastructure deserves influence.
yeah.
Um, because I might not start up the next business in that hometown or in one of our communities, but I do see us as a catalyst. And
Yes.
so while we're not doing the economic development directly, we're absolutely a key catalyst to making that happen. And that infrastructure deserves influences. I have to borrow that. Please let me.
You could steal it. Use it. Please use
It's
it.
and people expect it now, right? Everyone
Yeah.
expects things to work. And so it's infrastructure, but yet at the same time, we are critical. And so having that level of respect also for what we do on a daily basis, I think is also kind of along the lines of that infrastructure deserves the influence.
Yeah, 100%. I have loved this conversation, Cassidy. Before I let you go, is there anything that you want to share? Any final thoughts, any advice that you want to share with our viewers before we sign off?
I don't know if I have any particular advice, but I'll just share what my personal I guess mantras have been. And I've shared before. I lead with my 3 G's, and it's gratitude, grace, grit.
Mm.
Um, Gratitude to do whatever we get to do every day, and so grateful for the role I have, but also just who we get to serve and what we get to do to provide
Mhm.
service to people. Um, Grace, everyone needs it at times in their life, and you never know when. And so everyone has a story, right? And so
Yes.
just making sure to try to always lead with grace doesn't always happen. I know that. I recognize it. um, but trying, and then just grit, because we have so much to do in this industry, and we are to need to be here next hundreds of years. And so, how do we continue to just make sure that we are leading this industry, that we are here to work our butts off and keep providing the services that we do into the next generation?
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Cassidy. This was so much fun. You are
Thank
proof
you.
that leadership does not have to be stiff. It can be smart and compassionate and fun. So thank you so much for joining us on She Leads the Line. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us. Follow the show for more conversations with the women who are building, leading, and redefining the infrastructure industry. Until next time, keep leading the line. That was
Oh
awesome!
my